Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Soul Strike. This time again for the return of Zenonia. And with us today, it's Epicbutter. What's up, Butter? How are you, dude?
Good. Happy to be back.
Happy to have you back, dude. Yeah, you've actually been on quite the journey, which we're going to hear a lot about. Epicbutter had the chance to sit down with the devs in a recent trip to Korea as well. Before we get into today's topics, I want to say hi to folks in chat. Curdle, who was here first. It said the first thing I saw in chat. What's going on, dude? We also have Velfrost returning, Atart Dark Supremes as well. Huge. What's going on, dude? Hey, Summoner's War coming up at 4 p.m., just so you know as well. Gamer Bros, Full of Strawberries, so much more. Oh my goodness, you guys are all here today. And of course, we're live on both Twitch and YouTube, so we also have Miss Art, J1, Flicky, and more. Vesper! Turn Out Shadows hasn't forgotten. So, Butter, how are you doing? How was the trip?
Oh, the trip was amazing. Got to visit Korea. This wasn't like a sponsored trip. It was just really me trying to go and say hi to the devs and try to get some of the community concerns answered. Nothing's better than a face-to-face meeting, and I can't thank admin and the American team enough for helping make that happen. Really, it was kind of humbling to visit the people that make the game that I've been playing for like the last 2 years. So it was honestly a pleasure. I was actually able to also bring my guildmate, so it was a really good meeting where they got to meet not just me as like, you know, a top ranked player, but someone who probably represents most of the community as well.
And that's amazing. And dude, you have, I'm sure that the feeling was mutual. I'm sure that they loved getting to hear your opinions on everything. You have such a deep knowledge of both the game and the community, and such balanced opinions. And most importantly, above everything else, is a love for Soul Strike. So I think, you know, having that in common with the developers, I'm sure led to a really positive conversation, which is great. Ultra Deathlord, by the way, I could never forget you. Thank you so much, dude. I love you. I'm glad to see you and appreciate you guys. Jazzy Cola and Dark Supremes. Y'all are the best. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. I'm kind of unsure about where to begin. Other than I will say this. We do have a lot of ways for you in the chat to earn rewards today. As usual, the ball drop survey has just been pinned to the top of both Twitch and YouTube, so please fill that out. We're going to be giving 5 people who win the ball drop 30,000 ether. That's where we put your names inside that funnel mixed with an obstacle course, and the first 5 to make it to the bottom will get 30k ether. So keep that in mind. We also have codes that we'll be distributing throughout this the stream, and we're just generally going to be having fun. Before we get into like the meat of like these topics and what we talked about with like the devs and everything like that, Butter, why don't we go over the latest additions to Soul Strike in the Zenonia collab?
Yeah, so it's kind of your classic rerun where we have the roadmap. That's been kind of the thing. I was actually kind of hoping to get the zone again, because there was like special Zenonia music, and the first time they ran Zenonia, there was like even animations and levels, and I was kind of hoping to get a little bit of that, but you know, I'll settle for.
I know what you mean.
We got. And
yeah, because like, dude, like, the return of Zenonia. So I say this every time, but like, chat, I love Zenonia. Zenonia is like baked into like my childhood. I have so many fond memories of playing Zenonia's 1 through 3. Actually, I'm dating myself right now, but on the school bus to high school, like I would just be like on the bus with like friends in middle school and high school playing Zenonia, and it was so much fun. So it's like going from that to now playing Soul Strike with the Zenonia collab and like being at work doing it. It's like such a different time in my life. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Epicbutter. I just wanted to interject that.
No, it totally makes sense. Like I met the people that did the Korea stream in person, and it's like so weird to see them on the screen and used to seeing them in that way, and then oh no, you're like a real person like sitting in front of me. Like I totally get that.
It's cool. So we got the track.
The roadmap. Yeah, so one of the notable things that I think I'd like to just kind of call out is they definitely, I think, last minute did some revamps. Like this is the first time I'm seeing like mythical duels in like any sort of roadmap. This is like a rerun, so there are like, you know, the classic like support new players and old players. and that's kind of what I'm seeing a lot of for this kind of roadmap, is just a lot of there's like a clear route if you're like a new player, which would be like the pet route and the bottom route, while the more end game players probably want those keys and those cups. So definitely there's paths, but I think eventually you're going to try to get everything, because you really want those ultimate those ultimate tickets and things like that. Another thing I was pleasantly surprised about was actually in the pet summons. So at first I thought it was a bug, but it's not. It was actually in, they put out a notice, and it was actually in the official what is it called, Alchemist. So that's where they put the rates in. But in the normal Zenonia pet tickets, like the random summons, there's a 5% chance to get an ultimate. So like go ahead, start pulling on this. You do have a pretty good chance of getting some ultimate pets here.
Oh,
in the normal pet summon. I think that I'm probably giving myself too much credit when I'm thinking that they made a lot of changes based off of our feedback. But I'm either way I'm happy.
Yeah, that's great. Sorry guys, I think something might have accidentally gotten tripped in the back. Okay, there we go. I think it's now resolved. We were getting double audio there for a second. Sorry about that, chat. And appreciate that too, Butter, for bearing with us on that. We actually have quite a few people in chat right now, by the way, asking if you plan to make a video on the update.
Yeah, so my main thought was to make a video on like individual content. So because we've had so many like specific new power levers, I was more thinking about doing things geared in that nature, and I was actually sharing my weakness is actually making like thumbnails and doing subtitles. so once I figure that out, I'll do better.
That's the thing that everybody's constantly working at. The thumbnail game is changing constantly. I know exactly what you mean, dude. So that is the roadmap and the pets. I wanted to ask for your impressions with some of the collab content too. Have you played around with like some of the returning allies, like the new allies, the new treasures, stuff like that?
I was actually just doing that right before the stream. So I actually do have like a preset where I was playing around to do some comparisons. And the one thing that I kind of noticed or figured out was really, I actually did, what is that called? Key one everybody just to see like how strong they are. And one of the things I really forgot was the ultimate pets, and they have their synergies with the Zenonia allies, and that's very similar to what they did with QWER. The thing about QWER is that there's actually more allies. So when you're doing like per ally of this collab and you have more of, you're just naturally going to have a higher multiplier. So I think like Zenonia is really, really good for new players. I think if they don't have QWER stuff, otherwise, I think for most players, probably what's enough is just doing God's Grace. It's really, really strong. And if you look at that keyword, more MP, and of course, we're always loving MP for our Chronos.
Oh, nice, dude. That is great.
Yeah, so it's definitely pretty loaded.
And is it just multipliers that makes it good for new that makes the new content, new collab content stuff good for new players, or is there something else that gravitates you towards it for a new player recommendation?
It's more that they don't have accessibility to QWER.
Roger that.
Yeah, because the specifics of the ultimate pets for for this is really availability. You're going to be able to build out your ultimate pets stronger. So that's really why if you have it, like they could be stronger, but my ultimate pet levels aren't there yet. so right now my QWER set is stronger than my Zenonia set.
Oh, 10-4. Guys, real quick, I just want to bring up our first code opportunity. So in this box, I have 4 different balls, and they are red, blue, yellow, and invisible. It's gonna look purple because of the background, but it's actually green, okay? So you guys tell me what color that you want me to pull out of here, and that's gonna be our first code. Red? Awesome. Red was the first one I saw. This is brought to you by Ultra Deathlord. It's a box now. It's a box. We've upgraded. And within the ball is another ball that presumably contains the code. And it is... Oh, whoa. We printed a new one. Ether, 10,000. 10,000 Ether. Viewers of the stream, remember that we were using the one that I accidentally ripped in half for the last couple of streams. So good thing that we printed that out again. So very cool. Any other recent highlights for you? Skills, relics you're trying out? Anything else you've seen in testing that is particularly cool that you want to share with chat?
Well, the thing about this collaboration for me, it really seems like they tried to mirror a lot of what made QWR so great. So everything kind of plays together. So they revamped a lot of the old skills, so everything works together. So when we look at the relic, you know, the more Zenonia allies you use, the stronger you are. And that kind of goes the same way. Even the Divine Sword, if I transcended it, it would have a damage to boss boost as well as damage to boss boost, and I think like an attack boost. So it can, and I was thinking about it, but I'm not sure it replaces Goddess of War, because you have many more multipliers, although they're smaller. But either way, it's play nice together. By the more you have of this collab, the more they play nice together.
That's cool. That's a good. It's a good synergistic design philosophy that they were playing around with that helps make collabs feel even more impactful too.
Yeah, the concern is, and this was something I did talk to them about, was like, hey, we are feeling locked in, because one of the things that they were talking about is like, oh, how can we make like summoning allies exciting? How can we make summoning skills exciting? And I kind of said, well, the collaboration stuff were made so amazingly well that it's hard to displace. Now you're competing with yourself in like an incredible synergistic design. How do you displace that without creating things that are completely bonkers?
yeah, and that's a real good question, right? Because bonkers is kind of where you'd need to go to compete with some of these. That's a very good point. Maybe this is a good segue to jump into the dev note. We can hear from the devs themselves, and then at the end of it, we can transition into your conversation with them from Korea. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Let's do it. Also, turn off shadows. I just saw your comment. That's hilarious. He says, "What's in the box?" It's a reference to the movie Seven. They say in parentheses. Yeah, yeah, we know, we know, bro. Thank you for the confirmation on that. So we can go ahead and swap over to my view. I've got the developer note up for March 25th, 2026, and this one's kind of long, so I'm gonna chip away at this for a little bit. Let's see how this goes. It's gonna start off with a code. So new code, if you haven't got it yet, SSMAR for March W3K, right? And there's some directions on how to make sure that you claim that coupon code. So again, that's SSMAR W3K. All right, let's get started. DevNote 16, it's a deep dive into the season content and future update direction. I think some people already know what's like a brief about what's going to get addressed here, but just in case you don't, I think it's good to double down on this, because there was a misconception about the idea of that seasonal content. And I believe a great big sigh of relief was felt across the community when it was confirmed. Let's get into it. Starts off with greeting masters. This is the lead PD of Soulstrike. Following our mention of season content in the previous note, I'd like to provide a more detailed introduction. I also want to have a deep conversation regarding the balance of our recently added features and the future direction of the game. First, I'm aware that the introduction of the word season, which can be a somewhat unfamiliar concept in Soulstrike, was causing many of you to worry about a hard reset as seen in other games. I believe I was in a rush in wanting to share our new direction, and it led to a lack of a detailed explanation, causing unnecessary concerns. In today's developer talk, I will explain what seasons will look like in our vision and the new kind of excitement we aim to provide. And then we go into a Q&A, right? So the first, of course, is will existing content be reset when a season starts? And the answer is no. The start of a season does not apply to currently existing content, nor does it reset it. Soulstrike is a mobile idle RPG, which is fundamentally different from hack and slash games or other platforms that utilize a hard reset. And that would contradict our game's identity. It's not being considered at all. And then so they said, what exactly is season content then? And they said, unlike our growth and collection content, seasonal content is themed content designed to let masters enjoy a different meta and experience for a specific period. Currently preparing the following elements. Before we get into those, I think it's really good, Butter, that they didn't do a hard reset, I will say.
Yeah. I mean, there was like an idea playing in my head about like how they created the world server, and if like we had our account had a seasonal server where like some things went to, and there was like connection to our old account. But either way, that was just like thought of what could have been. And
I'm not opposed to that.
What they're doing is also good.
I'm not opposed to that. And, I think we've all seen games, that like those various hack and slash titles that the devs are alluding to, where they have like a seasonal ladder, like you create a season character, expedite progress, you jump in, you do like rifts, raids, and like you try to get a good build and you place high on the ladder. I do actually see a world where that could exist within Soulstrike. Now, again, I'm not a dev. I'm not saying that that's going to happen necessarily, but I do agree with Butter that I think that could eventually one day be kind of cool to explore, but it wouldn't force a hard reset on people regardless. Like in both of these situations, you'd kind of have to opt in and like have a new and fresh Soulstrike experience. But yeah, no, I actually think that's a great idea. And turn off shadows, yes, we absolutely do. Okay, let's keep moving. So they said that they're preparing the following elements here. So number 1, season levels and season traits. By playing during the season, you'll increase your season level and earn points to activate season traits. These traits will directly boost combat power and maximize growth and collection efficiency during that specific season. Each new season will feature a fresh trait tree to ensure a new gameplay experience. Number 2 is the Soul Sphere and seasonal gear. They said that they're going to introduce the special Soul Sphere to use seasoned souls. The rare to mythical gear obtained through these will have a significantly higher chance of rolling useful options. This reduces the fatigue of farming for the perfect 4 options gear while maintaining the thrill of potentially dropping ultimate gear. And then they also said, finally, various events will occur within the world of Soulstrike during a season. Your choices and dialogue with allies may matter, and hidden dungeons may appear. These stories will add depth to the journey of the Master and Lask. And then they're also looking at adding more features for seasonal content. This all sounds great to me, dude.
So one thing that I missed the first time I was reading through this, they kind of said mythical gear obtained, rare to mythical, but it sounds like it's rare to ultimate gear that is dropping, because the thrill of potentially dropping ultimate gear through these seasonal souls. Now that I think is pretty cool, mainly because we need more sources of fifth element. If we don't like the gear, can break it down, or it's we're now also having new synergies in these ultimate gears, so getting a way to get that fuel is really, really good, because when you make content, you want people to interact with it.
Yes, I totally agree. And what you just said, needing access to more of the fifth element, that's something that people have we've been talking about that for a while. I mean, I'm pretty sure the last time you were on, we had a conversation similar to that. And I do also like the third bullet point that they're presenting here too, like having more events, just random things to kind of come in. It's like the narrative for Soulstrike is actually really cool, especially when compared to other idle RPGs in the space. And I like the idea that they're kind of just adding more to like the world of Soulstrike, the narrative, via new gameplay content. It's a cool way to have people engage in it, other than just like, oh, it's a cutscene that you're gonna skip again. It's like something like that. Let's keep going. So here's the big question that was on everybody's mind, and we already kind of know like some of the answer for this, but the question is, does everything reset once the season ends? And they say most of the results of your play, such as like gear obtained and growth stats, will not be reset. Elements that require reset, like season levels or traits, will be converted into permanent currencies or transitioned into permanent content so they remain useful. They say, for instance, when a season ends, season experience can be converted into permanent experience, or season traits could be transitioned into permanent ones so they remain playable. We will take great care to ensure that your efforts during the season are never going meaningless. I love that, because they say that the essence of seasonal content is to provide new vitality and additional benefits for a specific period, and not to signify a disconnect. This last line I think is really important, is that we'll never develop the game in a direction that devalues your time and investment. I think that's probably the biggest point to hit, is that they at no point want you to feel like you're not being rewarded for the time that you're sinking into the seasonal content. And what a great mission, to be honest. I think that's great, Butter.
Yeah, no, I'm like I said, I'm mostly excited for the change up and the ability to get stronger without having to fear like risking getting weaker at the same time. There's some content and that's going to be addressed coming up that they're talking about. But yeah, there's some RNG content that like you want to roll the right thing, but if you don't land it within a certain amount of rolls and you actually end up weaker, that not a fan of. And I'm glad that they're kind of making a stance here that like this is what they want to do, less of that.
Yeah, I agree. So if you take one thing away from this, or you remember one thing, let it be that last line. Just kind of remember where the devs are coming from when they're making this content. It's like their end goal is not to make your time feel like it's been devalued. The name of the game here is fun. If it's not fun, then what's the point? Let's continue down. When will the season start and how long will it last? They say it will have a much longer cycle than previous collabs or short-term events, allowing you enough time to fully set up your new gear and enjoy the content at a comfortable pace. While the specific schedule is still being finalized, our goal is to introduce the first season alongside the 2.5-year anniversary. And they say that this hopes to turn any concerns caused by these new concepts into pleasant anticipation. We'll continue to provide updates on other content as they are developed. So then they go on to talk about master forging stress. And they say, so we're aware that gear, which is meant to be one of the core fun elements of Soulstrike, has been actually stressful for many masters. And they say that the biggest culprit is master forging. Growth elements like gear slot enhance and supporters are permanent systems that apply even when the gear is swapped. However, due to the nature of master forging, it's difficult to justify switching to new gear once you already have invested in a specific piece. To improve this, we plan on adding a master forging transfer system that allows you to move the master forging status of your developed gear to a different piece. We want to ensure that the stress of master forging does not hinder your excitement for new gear or your enjoyment of seasonal content. We're aiming for a late April update for master forging transfer system, and we'll share more details on the specific structure and mechanics in the future. So how does that resonate with you, Butter? Do you like the idea of being able to transfer over that master forging tag onto new gear so it's easier to commit to a swap?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. We had that with Breakthrough on gear, and we didn't have Master Forge. We didn't even have like resource return on Master Forge for a while, and now we got like some returns on resetting, which was a huge boost in the right direction. They also buffed scissor drop rate. I think like they can go even I still think they can go further by adding it to like field boss, like the amount of gear that you go through in this game as you progress because of the different stages. Like you will constantly want scissors, and you'll constantly want to roll in min-max, and that's kind of the fun of it. And if you're not like being able to reset and you're just kind of going through your gear once, because they also multiplied the number of gears with supporters. Effectively, instead of 6 gears, you have 12. That's a lot of scissors, and having a way to move that is going to be good. Now, the main question I think people will have, and I don't have an answer for, I don't think anyone has an answer for, is if you have like a 3-star, how will you be able to pick that 3-star, or will it just translate to line 3 equals line 3? That will be an interesting moment when we get there. And to be honest, I kind of hope it is that way, because then it kind of brings in like you a sense of planning, like, oh, I want to do this and I can only transfer on 3, and that way it's not like you can just manipulate it so you always have the best stat.
Yeah, that's there's depth in what you're describing too. So we'll have to see how they end up doing this. You know, it sounds like this is very much like this is the mission statement for the devs. So we'll see how this eventually how this happens, and we'll have to wait for like the season for that to go. Before I continue down this way, let's get you guys another code real quick. So we've got blue, green, and yellow. Give me a color, chat. Which one do you guys want the most? Tell me which code you want, and I'll grab it for you. Which color? Green for Vesper. Turn off shadows has not forgotten. That's great. We'll take green, although it's gonna look purple. Look at that. All right, but trust me,
Green
it's green.
screen.
I promise. Yeah, it's a green screen. We're chroma keying out the green, so it's gonna look purple. Hey, it's 100 skill tickets. It's 100 skill tickets. Let's go. Awesome. Nice choice. All right, let's keep moving. Regarding recent growth content. So next, the lead PD. Remember, this is from the lead PD on this one. I would like to address the balance issues of the growth content added recently. We've introduced various stuff such as emblems, supporters, Collab, and Arcana. While we received positive feedback about the fun of breaking through progression ceilings, we also recognize that many people are experiencing fatigue due to the rapid influx of content and steep difficulty curve. Most importantly is the growth efficiency of recent content was set significantly higher than that of existing features. The dev team deeply empathizes with the sense of being left behind and that jarring shift in scale felt by those who've invested in our content over a long period. In our eagerness to provide the thrill of climbing to those stuck in a plateau, we were unable to carefully consider the overall balance and the impact on our masters. We apologize to everyone who felt fatigued due to these balance and pacing issues. So in the future, we will strictly strengthen our internal testing and balance verification processes to ensure that the new growth content does not offer excessive efficiency that undermines the value of existing players. We'll also carefully calibrate the release tempo of new content to better match your pace. And I do think that this is very self-aware because a lot of new systems got released back to back to back, and they hit on something that's really important for Soulstrike, because the feeling of getting stuck at a plateau is very common, not just for Soulstrike, for the genre. And Soulstrike, I think, does the best job of giving you different avenues to kind of break through those, which is awesome. But they provided a lot of avenues really, really quickly, Butter. Like it was a lot.
Yeah, and some of it is non-interactive content where it's just like a time wall. So, you know, time walls generally don't offer a lot of interaction unless you get deeper into it. So you get a new power system and you're really just kind of collecting material for a while until you get to a point where you can actually do something with it, and that's not a great feeling.
Yep. Very true. So in closing now, Soulstrike has now passed its second anniversary and it's headed towards the milestone of 2.5 years. We will continue to strive and reflect on how to repay the generous love and support you've shown us. We'll listen more deeply to your voices to understand the direction you truly desire, and will remain a dev team that constantly evolves the unique fun of Soulstrike. Thank you sincerely for always being with us. And end quote. That was a great dev note. That was a nice little pipeline. We got to see a little bit of a roadmap for what's coming soon to Soulstrike, and we also got to see like what their developer philosophy was. So thoughts on the dev note in full now that we've read the whole thing, Butter?
So, you know, I have the kind of the fortunate opportunity to actually talk to the PD, and really, I think this is one thing that I was generally fairly surprised about, is they do care. I think they're just overly cautious when it comes to corrections, and specifically overcorrections. And you know, I had the feedback of like, hey, look, if you have people upset that they didn't, you know, they felt like they didn't get the prize that they deserve, why not just give it anyway? Mm-hmm. And mainly because like you want people interacting with content. That's really the crux of it, is like you as a dev, you put so much effort into these mechanics, but if the majority of your player base isn't actually able to play with it, is that something you want to do? And the one of the things that we talked about is what is the 80%, and that is basically like um, because of these time walls, the only way to break past it is to spend. And for most mobile games, there's like a slight paywall to get to more content, and that's usually in like the seasonal pass type range and things like that. And I asked them like, what is the 80% of content for Soul Strike? What is the is it like how long should a player play to get full breakthrough on all of their? How long should a player have to grind their supporters to get a mythical supporter? And that's something that I think they're really thinking about on how long it takes to complete a content, and what does that 80% look like? Because I was very honest. I said, look, there's so many systems now, and if I wanted to throw in like 20-30 bucks, I'm not sure what to throw it in that would actually make me stronger.
Right, and that's something that needs to get ironed out, to be honest. Like you got to give clarity to your player base so that way they know like what to focus on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of systems and there's a lot of opportunity. And one of the biggest things was they emphasized like really working with the community and really working with partnerships. So it was one of those really nice moments to hear in person that like they're hearing the feedback, and I'm hoping that I see some results from it. And one of them was like, yeah, for these streams coupons, I want the coupons to give materials that are related to the content that you're talking about. That's a huge opportunity. We should do that.
Love that, dude. He's advocating for the stream on here. Look at that. That's so funny.
No, I had nothing but great things to say about the US team, especially admin and Motive and everybody involved. Yeah. I'm trying not to say names, but everybody involved that really helped me get to the devs. So I'm just nothing but grateful for the American team.
That's amazing, dude. Thank you so much for that. Motive's cracking me up in chat with the little emote, and there's admin too. That's so funny. So I don't know if we want to get into like some of the specifics because you did. Maybe we could. Maybe what we could do is we could jump over to your gameplay again, actually, just so that way we could see it. Or what I could do too is I could just kind of bring up mine so that way we could see something moving in the background. But if we wanted to talk a little bit more specifically about some of the things that you had a chance to just touch on with your exchange, you guys talked about GVG in there as well. Did you want to start with some guilds? You talked about content life cycle and just general improvements that you wanted to see in there too. Anything you want to touch on? With that?
So there was so much we talked about. So we scheduled it for like a 2-hour meeting. It went for like almost 3.
Wow.
And this like they're like Comtois is a big company, but I'm gonna be kind of coy and say like Tiki Taka, the makers of Soul Strike, this is their second game, and I think they have a really creative process. And even like Arcana Tactics, their first game, is still like has a community. So they have something in their design process, and I think like really letting people explore that, letting people really enjoy the content should be the goal. That is the thing. So when we talk about GVG, currently today we've been fighting for Chronos for over a year and a half. I think that really they should expand the pool of rewards into some of these new systems so that like we have something bigger to fight for, that the stakes are higher. And like there should be some system that also reward like that reward kind of smaller players playing together. So some sort of like multiplier for smaller something that will allow space for smaller guilds to grow. That's really one thing, because it's really disheartening to like get a group of 20 together and then like you guys all try and it doesn't work out. And yeah, like most guilds are groups of 50 or 40, but that group of 20 should be rewarded somehow.
Yeah, 100%. So something else that I wanted to talk about too was like your new content ideas, and I know I briefly brought this up during, like, right before we went live. We didn't get a huge chance to talk about it, but like your idea for like the co-op mode that you were just describing, as well as like an endless sort of like tower defense-esque mode, were very alluring to me. Do you want to tell us more about what you had in mind for those?
So one of the things that I had a lot of fun in was like Shrine of Darkness and kind of Purification. Kind of has this feeling of like zombies coming towards you while you're protecting like a zone, and I just thought, how fun would that be if I could get like a clone of my friend, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm an Earth build, I know my friend's a fire build, and you know, maybe there's a reason for me to lean on a fire friend, right? So there's kind of a sense of like it matters like who you pick and who you're friends with to play in like a co-op endless mode. And you know, I didn't say it had to be live because it was a server stress or, you know, timing, whatever, but like just make a copy of a profile or like a avatar that signifies like a player and their gear that they're wearing, and that way you really get a sense of like power. You really get a sense of like, not only am I playing for me, but I'm also like getting my stuff together for my team. And you can, and you know, maybe expand that to not just a team of like 4, but what if all your allies were your teammates, right? And just for this one game mode, right?
Exactly, and it's like, you know, and I want to premise one more time, guys, too. It's like right now, you know, again, this isn't confirmed to be happening or anything like that, but I think it's really fun to talk about all the possibilities that could come to Soulstrike in the future. Like a co-op mode like that, even if it's just like loading up the ghost of a buddy, is such a fun idea. And it's like the emergent gameplay moments that would create, the fun interactions, and then also just like telling somebody that, like, you know, they didn't clutch it up when you needed them to or something like that, you know. And having it be either live or passive when it's their ghost is totally fine by me. I just think that the content in general sounds really fun. It's like you and a buddy instead of you and just a bunch of NPC allies is such a fun idea. And then you also had like a, oh yeah, go for it.
Oh no, so someone said like racing a ghost. Not really racing a ghost. So in like Purification, when you like start getting stuck, you end up having to like play around with your skill set and things like that. So like when there's like elemental like affinities, like it, you know, being able to lean on a friend would be hilariously fun. And just, you know, telling your friend, hey, you didn't line up right for you didn't have your lineup set up correctly for my run, you know, could be kind of fun.
I agree.
There was also like some Shrines of Darkness were so underpowered that it wasn't a power check. It was actually a speed check. So we had like a few seasons where we were racing, and it was about who could build the character that could run the fastest.
That's you know, that's fun.
Yeah. So there was definitely like little things like, oh, we're using what was that? There was Hermes. We were using Hermes to like skip a step and things like that. So there's definitely like things that they could play with in terms of like racing and things like that. But definitely, I think there's lots of opportunities. I think like the question is what can they do within the engine, and what will the engine allow them to do?
Yeah, it's such a fun little sandbox. Like Soulstrike provides so many cool like what if scenarios for that, and that actually is kind of like what I was going to say, because I know I'm getting ahead of us here, but like you also had like this idea for sort of like an endless sort of mode, like a wave-based system, and I'm a sucker for that kind of content. I really like that sort of like survival roguelike sort of situation, or should I say roguelite situation, where you just battle waves and enemies and you have like choices to kind of augment your skills that lead to different gameplay situations. I think it'd be really fun if we had that sort of thing in Soulstrike. I think it would be a natural fit.
So what I do like that as an opportunity for like mid and newer players to be able to get access to skills they normally wouldn't have, or interactions that they normally wouldn't have. Like There are so many amazing animations of like skills with enchants that people will never see just because they never get a chance to play with it.
Yeah, very true. And it could encourage like different gameplay strategies. You know, what you start with is also an interesting question for something like that. But it'd be really nice if the devs like took some inspiration there and threw that into the game. The other thing, transitioning to like another kind of topic umbrella that you talked about, we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but specifically like the Arcana system and the complexity of Soulstrike. You know, this how you described Arcana as being a little bit scary. You know, something like that. I was wondering if maybe you could touch on that a little more.
So Arcana, and I don't know if it's possible to switch over to my screen. But
It might be-
Arcana is what
We'll check on that right
might
now.
be a little
we'll
hard.
Check on to see. Yeah, we'll check
Okay.
on that to see if we can get your screen back up. If we can, we'll swap over real quick.
Okay. But yeah, overall, Arcana is one of those systems that I understand kind of the excitement of like getting bingo. I kind of understand what they were going for. The thing that scares me is that it's so RNG that like if I if I click reset, it could be extremely devastating like for somebody. So like that's the thing though. It is so scary to hit that reset button that like you're put in a position where as soon as you get like what you consider good enough, you don't want to progress. And that's not in my opinion, that's not a system that is going to be successful because you want to have progression in your systems, and something that's scary is really bad. Now one of the things they did try to address though is they added the stigma, so the kind of the necessary accessory into one of the effects in Arcana, so you no longer need that gear on you. So that does open up some flexibility. So I do understand what they were going for in like trying to provide just big fat stats for people to run and for people to enjoy, but it also ended up being a little scary because the difference between so there's like outer tiles and inner tiles, and the outer tiles, their values are so much higher than the values of the inner tiles. It almost doesn't matter what inner tile you have as long as they're all rare grade, and to me it actually feels like the outer tiles are overtuned.
Oh, interesting. Scatty also says having an option like core for Arcana would help this, to be honest. Being able to choose the other board after a roll or keep your own.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because right now they have a locking system, so you lock the tiles in and then you roll. But like the thing is that you don't know what your next roll will be. So I would almost say like also let us lock in, or after a certain like grade, let us lock into that grade while we're trying to roll for the right stat line.
That's a good idea. In addition to that, you also talked about elemental identity and like the way that elements fit in, like the concept of elements fit into the current meta of Soulstrike. Namely, you kind of said that elements have low-key kind of lost their identity a little bit from the sound of it. Do you want to elaborate on like exactly what you mean by that too?
Yeah, so initially, like when you look at the initial ultimate gears, they kind of all had like a identity with their elements. So like frost and water had freeze. Earth actually had poison. Fire burn. And like wind had electrocute and like airborne. So there's all these sub effects, and what ended up happening is we ended up kind of breaking the color wheel, so to say, in Magic terms. Where like other,
I know that one.
Yeah. And then they kind of also abandoned some of that like sub effects where you can't get a good value. So like burn is infinitely better than a lot of the other sub effects. So like so that's a thing. And the I understand why they also did it. They recently changed allies treasures to have all element boost, so that actually kind of returns us to the all element boost meta, where like you don't want a mono fire or a mono like element. You actually do now want all element boost, because now all of your allies can help you with your element there. So it does change how we've been recommending gear. It does change how we've been building gear, back to more of a what was Soul Strike year, pre year one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it kind of does like break it. I think they did a good thing with the elemental synergy tower thing, where you can kind of change the element type of a skill. There's been a lot of play and things in there, and I think what they should do is add that into presets so that you can change that around more easily, because that's currently not locked into preset, and that's kind of another thing that people have to manage whenever they switch content.
Good note. So what you're saying is that like we've kind of been on that trend for a while, but if things keep going the way they're going, we might actually see like a return to elements being relevant again. Is that what you mean to say?
Well, it's kind of weird, because we're kind of going both ways, where you have like this base level of like all element boost, and then right now with the pets, the ultimate pet, you have amp. So which is like the amplification. So it's like you're rewarded for unlocking and getting ultimate pets into a specific element, but at the same time you're also not rewarded, because you're on like the base level, you're doing all element boost. So it's kind of a little bit of a mixed message there.
I see what you mean. I see. Guys, real quick, let's get one more code. Last code of the day. So we have a choice between blue and yellow for this one. Oh, Scatty says just tuned in. Might have missed a little bit. Dude, we've covered quite a bit today. We had a really long dev note. This is us kind of doing a recap, like a debrief, following Epicbutter's trip to Korea, where he got to sit down with the devs, the lead PD, kind of got to chat with them and learn about their philosophy and share ideas for the game. It's awesome. Turn Off Shadow says, I am blue. Dabu dee dabu die. Let's go. Blue it is.
So I'm gonna call out Scatty. Scatty is kind of like the Mr. 18 of the world server.
Oh, let's go, Scatty. Great call. Hey,
yeah.
Everybody enjoy these 100 Allied tickets, by the way. 100 Allied tickets brought to you in part by Turn Off Shadows. But yeah, Scatty, so it's great. So yeah, we've talked a lot about Butter's trip in there. Great call out, great shout out. I want to remind everybody too to fill out the ball drop survey. There's still a little bit of time. We're gonna give 5 people 30,000 ether if you can win that, if you can get to the bottom first. So make sure to fill that out if you haven't yet. Yeah, that's good stuff. That's great stuff.
Yeah. So for the conclusion of my trip, I did want to give them feedback, and we were much more focused on like and I don't want to touch on it too much, but we were much more focused on like security and kind of like how to improve player trust, and there's a huge emphasis on that, but we didn't get enough on quality of life. So what I'm doing is I'm kindly asked the devs I have asked admin to post my Google form link. So if you're interested and you want to give me feedback that will go to the devs, I would love to hear from you guys, because I'm not the only one with ideas. Everyone has great ideas, and I'm constantly asking for it, and I'm putting it in there. So when I say like, hey, this document's from the community, it really is.
That's amazing. Yes. Yeah, so guys, please, with that in mind, please do fill out the survey. We will get that. So Epicbutter's Google form link will be announced on our official Discord server. So if you'd like to participate in that, and we would strongly emphasize that you guys should participate, please make sure that you're following our Discord. It pops up on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen every so often. So do that. And while you're going places, if you're not already following Epicbutter on YouTube, you absolutely should. So yeah, please make sure to do that and to fill out the survey right on cue. There's the Discord link there too. And there's the form in chat as well if you'd like to follow that right now and bookmark it or fill it out too. But that's great, dude. I think I'm really glad that you're doing that and representing the community like that. This is honestly like this has been a very fun and like candid conversation about all this stuff as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game that like we've been playing for 2+ years, and you've been streaming for fun, and one of the things that I feel really bad for admin for is like every year I give him like 30-page document for him to translate to send to them, and I told the PD like, that's not admin's job, man. Like we need to figure out a better system, and now I know he knows English, so
Yeah. That's so funny. That is hilarious. Oh my goodness, 30 pages is obscene, bro. That's amazing. That's so sweet that you want to do that.
I want to say the first document, I think like 85% of it ended up coming true in one way or another. So like when I'm saying they listen, they really do. It's just they respond much better to humor and constructive feedback.
Oh, of course, dude. Yeah, and that's what you're offering is constructive feedback, constructive criticism. Chat, by the way, real quick, transitioning back into this, I think the ball drop survey is likely going to close here. So please make sure that you filled it out. I think it actually might already be too late, but I'm sure you've already filled it out if you want to participate. And we can jump into that whenever you're ready to. We can ball drop. Let's go.
Ball drop.
Ball drop. Yes. Awesome. All right, here we go. We got everybody loaded up. First 5 to make it through to the bottom are going to get in there. I see test 2 and test 6. I see a few test names in there still. So we'll see.
I don't see admin in there.
Admin. Wait, admin's there. Oh, these are the tests. Oh, 1 in a trillion winner. Oh, and Evan's in there too. Ignis, let's go. This is the demo. This is the demo, by the way, chat, just for the reference.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing a fun one. Admin, let's go. Admin. Deserved. Cancel the real one. Admin deserves it. Let's go.
It's rigged. It's rigged.
Admin won. Oh my god. So we're gonna replace those now that we're all on the same page. We're gonna replace those with y'all's names. All right, and then we'll actually run it for real. As much as admin would love 30k ether, unfortunately there's no opportunity for that. Okay, ready, set, drop them. Let's go, off to the races, baby. Flicky out in front, Velfrost narrowly slurping by into the lead. J1, I wish I had a better verb than slurping into the lead. Flicky makes it to the bottom, but that isn't always great. People accelerate through. Turn off shadows for a photo finish. Oh, turn off shadows. Turtle, Haku, J1. Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Congratulations, guys. Turn off shadows says, told ya. Wow. Well played. Dang, last. Wait, Atart, did you get last? Congratulations to the winners. Thank you so much, guys, for participating. And Butter, dude, thank you so much for joining today. It's always so fun streaming together.
Yeah, no, and hopefully next time we'll figure out the technical issues and we'll get more gameplay and more talk about mechanics. And yeah, I'm excited because one of the things that we did talk about was giving you the ability to play with some of the new systems. So
dude, that'd be so great.
I hope they do that.
Oh, I would
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be so fun to watch you stumble through it?
Yes, it would. It legitimately would be so much fun. And dude, yeah, I think that this stream was very important. Like having a candid conversation about this stuff. Let's have a constructive discussion about like these things in Soul Strike that we see as improvement points. It's because we all love Soul Strike, so it's important that we show our love by saying how this game can improve. We all want to see the game succeed and become an even better user experience. So I think this was incredibly important, and Zenonia will still be here next time. We can deep dive into some more from the collaboration. We can talk more about the mechanics and just see what you're up to lately, because so sorry again, chat. Yeah, there were some technical problems behind the scenes. We're not able to get Butter's gameplay up, but we'll figure that out next time. and we can do that. But hopefully that next time will be soon, Butter. We'd love to have you back on very soon.
Oh, I enjoy being here.
Heck yeah, dude. All right, guys. Again, one more time, reminder, fill out the survey. Epic Butter's running that survey. The form link is in the chat. You can also find it on Discord, so make sure you're joining, and drop a follow on YouTube for Epic Butter as well. If you guys are at all interested in Summoners War streams, we'll be going live in 1 hour, doing some RTA. I'm gonna have 2 guests on as well. Apps and Firas are going to be joining me for that. So I will see you guys back here in an hour, but for now, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time, okay? Bye, everyone.
So much.
暗闇